So I just saw The Northman, and it was awesome. This is the first film I've seen from director Robert Eggers, who was responsible for The Witch and The Lighthouse. Because who needs that artsy-fartsy left-up-to-interpretation bullcrap? I want the instant gratification of violence.
Batten down the keelhaul, yeah! Kill the women and children first! Blood! Gore! Spit them on the tattersalls!
The story is about the son of a Viking king who witnesses the death of his father and grows up preparing to avenge him. From what I've heard about this director's other movies, this definitely seems to be his most straightforward one. Everything played out pretty much exactly as I expected it to, but I still found it to be engaging through its pacing and its excellent filmmaking. It had the perfect amount of action scenes and didn't really linger on anything outside of that longer than necessary. The fights themselves were appropriately gruesome, and the way they were shot and choreographed made for some enthralling sequences. There were some really great long takes in this movie utilizing a ton of extras, who were really used to great effect showing the brutality in these men and how they would rain hell on these villages. I can't even begin to imagine the organization it must have taken to make all of it look as chaotic and random as it did, not to mention the good usage of effects giving everything a gut-wrenching impact. There were some shots with some noticeable CG, mostly involving animals, but it worked more often than it didn't and was sparsely used anyway. I also really liked the world building in this movie. There's all these scenes where the characters will perform ritualistic ceremonies, and without over-explaining anything to the audience, they were so much fun to watch because of how they allowed me to slowly figure out what they represented as they went on. And to be honest, I found them a lot more intense than any of the gore. The horror aspects in those scenes were used to great effect because of some great storyboarding and sound design. And while we're on sound, the music in this movie was pretty great too. The tone throughout has a very stressful and heart-pounding energy. Although I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed by one aspect of the music, and it's definitely more of a personal preference. So one of the main reasons I was excited to see this is because Björk is back as an actress after like 20 years, who's a singer that did an amazing job in the musical Dancer in the Dark. And I wasn't expecting her to be a main character throughout the movie considering the role she played, but for a movie that had at least 3 songs performed during ritualistic ceremonies, I'm surprised she never got the chance to sing one. There are a lot of similarities between the ways people would sing in this era and Björk's album Medulla, which is a unique a cappella record that utilizes throaty, tribal-inspired vocalization. And I was hoping to see something like that depicted here. She still brought a good performance, and the lack of a song from her didn't actively ruin the film in any way. I just love her music so much, and I felt like they had an ample opportunity to use it. That being said, I found everyone else's performances to be good as well. There's a bit of cheese sprinkled in, especially coming from Nicole Kidman, but it didn't stick out as bad to me because I felt like it still fit with the operatic tone. As far as the actual characters go, they can feel a little one-note, but I think that was the point of the movie, illustrating how this age of violence makes the characters' roles as heroes and villains easily interchangeable with just a little bit of perspective. Like I said before, this is a pretty conventional plot that doesn't really offer too many surprises, so if you're someone who isn't morbidly entertained by sickening violence, this might not be for you. But I found the actual storytelling to be engaging despite its traditional approach, and I found it to be very satisfying by the end. So if you love action or are looking for a solid revenge movie, then I'd say check this out.